This was a California middle school. A school teacher said that Trump is still president and a bunch of other crazy stuff. Here it is.
I'm gonna jab this in your arm. You do not get to say whether or not you can do it. Another thing is, they're now saying that they don't want to give babies back to, like if you have a baby in the hospital, they don't want to give it back to you if you're not vaccinated. This is a complete power control grab. And people need to wake up and see that the government has way too much power right now. There were audits, and the audits came back and saw that it was fraudulent. But so how is that an opinion? That's a court, like they proved that it's not fraud. No, but have you read into the audits? Yeah, so the audits proved. So nothing's gonna get overturned, but the audits did prove.
These days, a lot of people, they have different opinions.
Yes, and there's a difference between opinions and facts.
Do you think that it's flawed? The election was a flawed. Is that a fact?
I'm not saying the entire election, but the states where the audits were done, yes. There is facts, there are statistics, and I can pull up those facts and statistics right now. These are not opinions, these are facts. Our own president was banned from Twitter, Instagram, and all this other things. Meanwhile, they also censored information that could have swayed the election. Hunter Biden, for example, was doing deals with China and Ukraine and all these places where he was funneling in money illegally. He also had child pornography on his laptop. He was having sexual intercourse with his own niece. So this is a sick family, and nobody knew about this because the media refused to show it.
Damn shame. This is a whole history teacher talking to middle school students about pornography. She said that Hunter Biden had pornography on his laptop, that Hunter Biden is sleeping with his own niece. She also said that the election was stolen, that this whole thing is a fraud, and Trump obviously is still president of the United States. She's a history teacher in Anacapa Middle School in Ventura, California. She has obviously come under scrutiny, okay? There's a full recording. She makes even more ridiculous claims about COVID-19 and some other things. Remember the context here. She's talking to middle school students, and she is a history teacher, okay? All right, so here's the most recent update. On Friday, the Ventura Unified School District official said the teacher you just heard was no longer working. Officials declined to say whether the teacher was still employed by the district, all right? Here's what happened. How did we get this recording? An 8th grader. An 8th grade student told his mother after class with the history teacher that he'd never been be vaccinated against the coronavirus. CBS New York reported. Then he asked her if she knew that Trump was still president of the United States. I mean, just imagine your 8th grader coming home telling you that fact is now fiction. And you ask, well, where did you learn this fiction from? And your 8th grader tells you, oh, my history teacher taught me this today, okay? That's what's happening. Now they want you to think that critical race theory is the boogeyman. No, teachers like this, that's your enemy, all right? Okay, so Sarah Silicula, the parent of the 8th grader who recorded the comments, it was a lesson she wasn't expecting her son to hear. The mother told her son that if he was ever uncomfortable with what was being said, to pull out his phone and start recording it. That's exactly what the 8th grader did when his teacher, his history teacher, went on a political rant in class. They have launched an investigation. They say they do not condone this kind of verbiage from school teachers, yada, yada, yada. Ms. Caroline, what are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, just the irony of a history teacher being so nakedly ahistorical is so right. Scary, honestly. And I think it's an interesting age too. I mean, you said an 8th grader reported this, and 8th graders, they're still young, they're almost in high school, they want to be mature. But I think it's just amazing that this person went to his parent and sort of was discussing what was happening. I think it's kind of scary. I know when I got home from school, I always just wanted to be like, I don't want to talk, day was good, whatever. So good on this parent for encouraging them to, record these things that they might not feel so sure about. And I'm kind of curious on your end, like the teacher is using, facts, and she says, look up the research. And like you, as someone who deals in facts and statistics and truth, how do you feel about that? And how do you combat that type of rhetoric that to a young student feels sort of, if a teacher is saying, well, I could pull up the statistics, what is the student supposed to do?
Yeah, well, first of all, I would make an example as principal and fire her. And I would say clearly, I have fired her because of her direct comments that were untrue. And then you make sure that there is an educational process to tell the truth, because the lie was told in your institution. So now you have to be very intentional with that same group of young minds to make sure they are clear about the difference between fact and fiction. It's so ironic that we're living in a time when we have to do that. Education should be about knowledge, because the basics of what is fact and what is fiction should have already been dealt with. And now you have an educator bringing this into the classroom as if there's a debate. You cannot debate facts. You can debate opinions, but facts need not your support nor your debate. They stand on their own.